Welcome to another episode of But That's Not Important Right Now with me. And with me is Natasha. Welcome, Natasha.
How things?
Well, they could be a little better.
Well,
I
everybody is not safe.
I I was how to put it? Not Shanghai. I was the rug was pulled out under me last
Um,
week. So I'm
what
kind of
happened?
recovering. Well, I Jared is no longer part of the podcast.
Oh,
So
you mean podcast live?
yeah, so that has kind of left me in a little bit of a because I had a whole set of plans and stuff, and all of that has been thrown
Mm-hmm.
out of the window. But I'm glad you're here. Good. I'm happy.
Well, I was gonna join in when you initially sent the invitation, and then I saw the November 2nd date on it, so I was like, okay, well, forget about that. And then I just checked back and saw that it was now, so they were letting us jump in.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. You see, I have it on a recurring time until the end, and I missed yesterday because yesterday I was out all up until about 9 last night. So I just didn't have time. And I said, well, okay, I'll just do the next episode. And then I
Doing
realized,
it.
oh, yeah, it has
Oh,
been slow. It has been slow.
yeah.
I've noticed that too. It's been really rough these last 6 months, at least
Yes,
6 months.
basically for me, since like June onwards, has been to be like kind of quiet, you know?
What, but slow in what way for what you're doing? You're mostly doing fine art now. So is it
Yeah, yeah.
that people haven't been buying the paintings?
Well, I mean, I don't generally sell paintings that often unless I have them in a show. It's not like, I do a great job of promoting my website or anything like that. I think it really helps for people to actually see paintings like in front of their faces because photography can really capture how great a painting will look.
Yeah,
So I tend to sell more stuff that I have already in shows and exhibitions,
yeah.
but I usually will still be working on like private commissions and stuff like that. And basically, like the first half of the year was good where that was concerned, but then the second half has been really kind of
Mm.
dire. So yeah,
Yeah, I what I found is that I found that even on the traditional graphic design front,
hmm
I've not been, no one has been, I've been looking, asking, hey, do you need anything? And people be like, nope, nope. But literally nobody's asking for work. This is not
yeah,
even,
yeah.
it's not even that they're saying, we don't have money, or we don't have, or your prices are too high or anything like that. It's like, no, we don't have anything. And I don't know if that's because they were kind of, there's nothing really going on between June to September kind of situation. Everybody was kind of catching themselves because the pandemic is over and whatever, and then they kind of saving up for Christmas. I'm hoping that's what's happening, but we're
Mm.
already into October, the end of October, and it's been rather,
Yeah,
dry.
I factored that I find that over the summer holidays, excuse, I think people are usually so focused on like kids and vacation and that kind of thing that everything tends to be dead. So
Mm-hmm.
usually it will start slowly to sort of pick up like around September, October, and I'm not seeing that happening. I'm already seeing a lot of movement. And I don't know if it's just because like people are sort of expecting some more economic kind of hardship and stuff like that is
Mm-hmm.
coming up in the next few months or the next year, whatever, that they're being a little bit more prudent with their dollars, or if it's just that things quiet. So I don't know really what's going on because it's like everybody is having that experience, so I can see, and I'm not really seeing any one reason for it. So I don't know what's happening.
Well,
Unless people started to go out more and just spend more money on things that over the last 2 years they couldn't do because they were locked up inside. I don't know if that had anything to do with
yeah, I was asked to pitch for like 2 or 3 jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to pitch for the jobs, and I sent in my proposals or whatever. I never heard back from like 2 of them, and then the last one I didn't hear anything, and it was on a strict deadline. Like they sent the pitch in, and they wanted things done in 2 weeks' time, which is very very tight for the kind of job. We're talking about multi-format page documents.
Right,
So,
yeah.
to do this in 2 weeks, I would have to push everything else aside, whatever I'm doing, which was really nothing, to 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 accommodate this. And just to know that this deadline is right. And they said, yes, no, send in your cost, send in your cost. And usual story with a pitch. You don't know what the budget is. You can ask,
Right.
and they always say, we don't know, send in your cost. I'm like, all right. So, and I got no response like the first couple of days. And then into the second week, when obviously I said, what's going on? Oh, I'm sorry, we chose somebody else to do this job. I'm like, you didn't
And
even
they
have the
didn't have the
courtesy.
courtesy to even like communicate that with you that you haven't been chosen for that.
It's really unprofessional sometimes. And this is not a small business, medium. This is a huge, large organization. And I kind of knew somebody in the organization, but she wasn't working in that department. And I had to message her and say, what's going on? Could you find out for me? And that's when I got the email, like about an hour later. Like she went and she asked, and they're like, "Oh, I probably forgot to send this email." And the email was just one line. Thank you for your proposal, but we chose somebody else. Have a good day. So it's a little disheartening when you don't hear back from the person. I don't mind if
Of
you
course,
say,
because I mean, you could have like let go of that hope days ago and moved it on to something else, but where
exactly,
you've kind of
exactly.
been suspended in a place where you're waiting unnecessarily for something that's already been decided.
Yeah. The other thing was I rarely ever get messages through my website because my website is shit now. I've really just neglected it for so long, but
Mm-hmm.
I really need to get back to sorting it out. But I got this message from the contact form, and the person said, and my contact form is very simple. It's like your name,
Mm-hmm.
your email address, what is it you want to find out about, and a contact number. But I don't put the contact number as required because I know some people
Right.
feel funny about putting their phone number on a public form. They're not too sure where this form is going and whatever. And I'm okay with
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm like, okay, well, at least your email address is good enough. At least I can contact you. And they requested something, and it was very weird, strange request. And I said, okay, I need clarification of this. So I emailed him right back, and I said, excuse me, could you, give me a little bit of more idea of what it is? I never heard back from him, and I said, could you please call me because I don't have your number. Could you please call me at this number, or let me know when I could call you or whatever it is. I never got, and that was 3 weeks ago. I'm like,
I'm
scared.
starting to believe that Trinidadians have they probably invented the feeling ghosting because like I had the same thing happen with somebody who had contacted me. They wanted me to do a portrait of their wife. And I
Mm,
was like, well, I only know if I can do it if you send me like pictures and stuff like that.
yeah.
And I'll let you know if I could work with them and that kind of thing. And they sent me like a bunch of pictures and they were all in black and white. And I was just like, do you think that you could send me these same pictures just in color? Because I mean, I can work with black and white, but I don't know like her skin tone or anything like that. Like I don't know, I don't have any frame of reference of this woman in color. And first of all, if you want somebody to paint a portrait, unless you wanted me to paint it in black and white, I do not understand why you would send me pictures in black and white. Who
Yeah.
takes pictures in black and white?
Yeah.
And so and after we went back and forth and he sent me some more pictures in black and white, I was like, thank you to really great pictures. Do you have any visions of them in color?
Yeah.
And after the second time, like I never heard from this guy again. I don't know if I like offended him or something like that, but I was just like, what is there something wrong with me just asking you to just send one picture so I can just get an idea of what this woman's skin color looks like? And that was it. Totally ghosted me. And I was just like, why people can't just I don't know. I just don't understand the whole lack of follow up when you're just asking for information kind of thing. It's just, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, if it changed your mind, I don't know, maybe he changed his mind. If he changed his
did you
mind, I
give
guess
him a
I wasn't
cost?
expecting. I didn't get there. I didn't even get there.
Oh, okay.
Because
Well,
for me
okay.
to give him a cost, I would, and of course, that's the thing everybody want to hear up front. How much is it going to cost if I ask her, and I'm thinking, well, how big is the painting? Is it 10 feet by 20 feet? Or is it 16 inches by 12 inches? That's the thing that's
Yeah.
getting to it. It's
Yeah.
like they want cost up front, and I'm like, well, before we get the cost, can I get some idea as to what kind of size you're looking for? Like, well, I don't know, but somebody calls first, and I'm just like, well, I can't give you a cost unless I know what size you want, and if you don't know what size you want, then I don't know where to start.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, but anyway, this guy, he never contacted me again. I maybe he felt like I was harassing him for a colored picture of his wife. And the irony is that I went and I looked him up on Facebook and I saw his wife on his account because they both have like open accounts. But I do not understand in this day and age how people have accounts that are not private. But and I went on his wife's account and there was like a whole bunch of beautiful pictures of her in color that he could have chosen from. And I was like, why didn't he send me any of these?
You
But
think
obviously,
you
like I
think he
couldn't.
might be colorblind?
But that's not what color blindness is. You can still see color when you have color blindness, you
No,
know.
no, there's a form of color blindness where it's black and white.
That's very, very rare.
I know, but it's
Like
not
extremely rare. My
impossible.
father was colorblind and he could see
Okay.
colors. He just had like the red green color blindness
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, he's not. It's very rare to be able to see black and white. But
Yeah.
you've brought up an interesting theory. Maybe he couldn't see colors and he didn't realize he was sending black and white pictures. I don't know.
But it's strange. It's interesting now that you talk about color blindness. When I first started at McCann, I had talked about this previously in another episode. But when I was at McCann, there was an account executive who was working on Coke, and when you know Coke is red, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coke is a red color, and it's a specific kind of red. They call it the Coke red, right?
Right.
So we had to adhere to this color red or whatever. And he's looking at the artwork that I presented to him, and he's looking at it, and he goes, I really don't know if this is the correct color or not. I said, well, it is the correct color. He's like, no, I'm colorblind. Know what the color is, because red is one of the colors that they don't see. I think,
yeah. Well, they see it, but they don't see it as we see it.
Right. And he said, I don't know if this is the correct red. And I looked at him like he was, like he just dropped out of the ceiling. I'm like, what? You approving artwork and you don't even know the color? He's like, shh, don't tell anybody. I'm like, how the fuck you get this? I mean, he's a great fella. He's a great guy. I love him. Every so often I see him, I still see him around. He's cool, And the thing is, I always think to myself, this is so funny. This is an account executive on a brand where, I mean, he trusts people like me and the artists to know the correct color. That's great.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that is our job.
Yeah, but suppose the color came out wrong. Suppose the color came out wrong, and he was like, well, I approved it, and the client's like, how you can approve this or whatever. The point is the client was an a-hole anyway, at the time. Yeah. So regardless of whether the color came out wrong, she would have found something wrong to buff him. And she used to write these extremely hurtful emails to,
really?
Yeah, she was a terror. She was a terror, which is bringing into our...
Wait, you used to be privy to the emails, though?
Yeah, I used to let people read the emails. No, she was well known. She was a Latin American she was in Miami. And what she used to do is she used to come into the agency. Now, I just started working there, so I didn't really know. I never had a meeting with her. I think I met her once, but I never actually had a meeting with her. So I don't know. I just heard, and he used to relate these stories. And at one point, he was complaining to the general manager. He's like, I really can't do this job anymore. Because she used to come into the agency, get presented with the creative, be very happy and clap and smile and say, this is great stuff. Your guys knocked it out of the park or whatever. And then a couple of hours later, like she'd jump back on the plane. Just before she jumps on the plane, this is the days before Wi-Fi and this kind of stuff. She would write these long emails peppered with 4-letter words. How the agency could fuck up so much and blah 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 blah, and real rip us a hole, rip us 2 holes, 3 holes. And he used to just take the screen and turn it to me and say, read that. And I would skim through some of the stuff. I mean, I never read the whole thing. I would just skim through just to get an idea. And she would be hypercritical. And that obviously would be copied to the general manager and the creative director and the client services director, whatever. And they all knew that she would store up all of this stuff. She wouldn't say it to people's face. She would write it, you know. And nowadays, that's what it's called, people on Facebook. You know, there's let loose on Facebook because they feel, you know, because they're behind a keyboard, you know, they could, you know.
But like I'm convinced that like a lot of people who work in marketing departments are like borderline psychotic because the kind of feedback that you get from people who's supposed to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Just be like, what?
Yeah.
Where's your mind even? Like, yeah. I don't understand. So I just feel that maybe industry attracts crazy people or a certain type of crazy people. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. There
must be some sort of like commonality as to why I have so many unhinged people working in advertising and marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's very interesting, the characters, because unhinged is the correct word. And I mean, John and I always used to say that, you know, that you have to be of a certain kind of character to be able to deal with the characters that you encounter.
Exactly.
and he was like, and he was a very nice, calm guy, young guy. You know, he was always ultra calm. He never used to get upset or vex or anything. And he had reached the end of his rope. He went to the journal. He said, "Please take me off this account. How am I supposed to respond to an email like this that I get at like 8 o'clock at night?" Because that's when she used to send me emails, you know. And
right when you're settling down to relax for the rest
exactly.
of the day.
You used to get this
and email. Then just totally mess with your head.
Or just before you're ready to leave the office, like about 6 o'clock, when you're ready to go.
Wow.
He gets this email, and this is the kind of thing that we talk about all the time on the podcast. So you have to deal with these characters who, because they've had worse in the agency. They've had people who walk into the agency and scream. I remember this woman, she came in and she started screaming at the creative director. And he was like, what was going on? What's going on? You know, I just got here kind of thing. I don't know what's going on. And this was like at 7 at night. And she's like, you all need to be fired. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? Nobody knows what's going on. And the general manager has to swoop down, and the head of client services has to swoop down and kind of take away like from, you know, like she just escaped the asylum. Well, it's like,
dude, I mean, I have to say though, the stress, and it's unnecessary stress,
yeah,
of advertising. Yeah, if you are a person who is not 100% grounded, it could send you off the deep end.
Yeah.
Or act in ways that sometimes you watching yourself going, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, we talked about that with the episode 4, 5, where we talked about mental health, and that was you know, quite, we kind of discussed ways.
Yeah, I was supposed to join in on that conversation, and I wasn't able to at the time. I think I was looking at a few, but
that's
yeah.
Fine. That's fine. Anyway, what we wanted, just to get back on the topic tonight, is we want to talk about whether it's pretty much the same thing we were talking about, you know, the terror. So you know you're expecting an email that you know is going to ruin your day. You know, that kind of terror that comes into working in an ad agency. And since it's Halloween and we're doing this episode is coming out actually on the 31st of October. So we want to kind of talk about the terror of working in an ad agency. If there were ever moments that we had in working an agency where, like for example, I remember working on packaging for a big brand. And I did think it was the first time I've ever worked at that level. Before I was doing press ads, and this is packaging. And oh hell, there you are. And
Yeah,
that's
I am. I turned my camera on a while ago.
okay. Um, yeah, I said to me, I said, I did this packaging and I sent it off, sent the final artwork off, and I got back this kind of weird email saying all the packaging is wrong. It's all been done wrong. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. And that was at 6 at night. And I went to the account executive at the time and I like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? And she's like, trust me, because I'm terrified now because I think I'm going to lose my job. She's like, trust me. People in here working here for almost a decade who screw up royally every day. So you don't have anything to worry about. But again, I was terrified because I thought I did something, and I'd come off working for another agency where I had been in a position where nobody checks my work. And it went out and they had to absorb a whole set of money and they took it out of my pay and it was a big old mess. And I'm
Yeah.
terrified to make a mistake. So the terror of making a mistake is just there. You feel that you've done something so wrong and so bad that you want to cry. There were a couple of times like that in the earlys, in the first couple of years working in the agency, where I felt that, one day somebody's just going to say, hey, you fuck up this job, get out, you're fired. And it never
I
happened.
I I have a story where I did end up crying actually. Um, it was a scenario in which I had been given some kind of I had to work on kind of last minute a financial, and I had already established that I had an appointment at the end of the day, so I had to leave at 4:30, right?
Mhm.
And they dropped this thing on me, and so I didn't remember the ad, but I had done the one the previous year or something like that, so I had pulled that one up and tried to work from it because but I was kind of told that they wanted the same kind of format, but it had numbers and stuff in it like that. And so I made a mistake with some of the numbers, which I mean is a thing that can happen. It's not, a big deal. At the end of the day, that's what we have copywriters there for, to check
Mm.
all of the copies.
And quality
And
control. You have a line of people
well,
to check.
you have a whole line of people, right? You have
Yeah,
there's you, but then there's the copywriter, then there's the account executive, then there's the client. All of
yeah,
those people are supposed to check and make sure that everything is accurate, right? So the next day I came into work after that, and apparently a whole drama had happened after I left work that day. I'm sure most of y'all were there because everybody always stayed after work. And somebody kind of gave me a heads up, and I got slapped with a letter that morning and then dragged into a meeting. And luckily for me, somebody gave me a heads up that apparently there had been some numbers that were wrong, and it was like basically somebody's head was supposed to roll and they were calling for my head to
yeah.
roll. And of course, because I was not there to defend myself, even though I legitimately had an appointment to go to, it looked like in their mind, of course, they wanted somebody to blame. And of course, they wanted to blame me because I wasn't there to defend myself. I mean, at the end of the day, I had all of my proof lined up and everything like that. I was able to show my email saying this has been approved, so and so. I sent it to all the right people and whatever. So anyway, I went into this meeting with you know who, and the general manager, and the head of finance, the three of them staring at me across the table. And so it's like head of creative is very confrontational with me. And so, I mean, and of course, I'm like sitting there trembling in the chair. And I get basically accused of A, usurping my responsibilities, B, being careless, this, that, the other, all kind of thing.
Yeah,
So I basically explained, listen, this ad was sprung on me like 2 hours before I was supposed to leave. I
yeah,
had already informed everybody this morning, like
yeah.
the morning when I came in, that I had that appointment to go to and I had to leave at 4:30. And um, yes, yes, I did make a mistake, but again, there is a whole chain of command that is also there to make sure that in the event that I make a mistake, which is a totally human thing, this person and this person and this person, and I was like, we have a copyright for that. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is the email where they said it was approved, and this is the email where the accounting secretary said it was approved, and this is the email that they forwarded from the client that said it was approved. And then what ended up happening was they were like, well, okay, fine, fine. And then proceeded to rip me a new asshole and start accusing me of all these things that had nothing to do with anything, lying about me, all kind of things. And I just was so bombarded. And of course, I was not prepared for any of this. So it's not like
Yeah.
I had any sort of defense in my, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I ended up in tears.
Yeah.
I ended up crying. And because he just kept coming at me. It was like for 20 minutes solid. And you do this and you do that and you don't do this and that. And a lot of it was laughing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like you really want to get me out of here, you
Yeah.
know? And I did not feel like I could capably defend myself. Like, what am I going to sit there and say, no, that's not true, or
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Like, how is that going to make me look any better? And I just sat there stunned. I was stunned.
Yeah.
And I felt completely ambushed. And to me, I understood the meeting was going to be to discuss this thing.
Yeah.
And they totally swept that under the rug when they realized that they couldn't take me to the wall
Yeah.
and make me responsible for that. And instead, I just got personally attacked.
Yeah.
And that pretty much kind of sealed the deal for me in terms of wanting to stay in that job. That was like the last job for me.
Yeah.
And I think I stayed there for another 6 months until I got let go. Well, the circumstances, you remember why a bunch of us had to be let go. And yeah, but it kind of broke me in terms of like wanting to do this career anymore. That was really
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a very traumatizing experience.
Yeah.
Like
That's
even
the
now
thing.
that I'm talking about it, and that was so long ago, and I'm in a completely different place in my life right now.
Yeah.
I think about who I was then and
Yeah.
how it felt to be on the receiving end, and I just want to cry because it was
Yeah.
such a horrible experience.
Yeah. That is the
Awful. It
thing.
was
That's
very
the thing.
traumatic.
That's the thing. When it happens to somebody like you and it gets out that this is how they behave, when you get called into those meetings, it's terrifying because you don't know. And later on, I learned from my lawyer, my divorce lawyer, when I kind of had a discussion about industrial court. She's looking at me like, what is wrong with you people? Where you come from? I'm like, what happened? She's like, don't you realize employees in this country have the most power? They have more power than anybody else. And she started to explain to me the Industrial Act. She said, I'm not an industrial lawyer, but I do know from the situation, what you're describing or whatever. I think I was talking about something else that happened to somebody else. She's like, you'll just sit down and take this shit. You go to the industrial court, you lodge a complaint, and they go in there and they do an investigation. And they take the company to court to find out what exactly going on. She said, you have a lot of recourse. Even if you answer about union, she said, union, you don't need a union. That's what people don't realize. If you're an employee,
yeah, but you see them banking on the fact that we don't know this information.
Exactly.
How we know when we were both working there, we would have done that.
The young
because
people,
they were fucking with our careers.
Yeah, I keep telling the young people. No, when I was working at the last agency, place that I was at, I said, you don't have to take this shit. You can go to the industrial court. And the minute we start talking industrial court, these people start freaking out. And unfortunately, the first thing they want to do is fire because, but I mean, again, at the same time, you go to the industrial court, you don't have to pay anything. You just get advice, you get legal advice, and which is why I kept saying that, it's important that that artists or creatives have I don't like to call it union. Union has a bad stigma attached to it, because they've done their nonsense in the past.
Well, you can call it a union. I'm also a union.
Yeah, something that represents a group, because just a couple of years.
Have representation. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I don't know if you know. Is it Stephen Udet? Stephen Udit is the guy's name. He's pretty well known in the graphic arts thing. He used to design
Mhm.
carnival costumes. And
Mhm.
what happened was he went and did work for, and he told me, he said, yeah, and I did shit. I went and did the work for them without getting paid down,
Right.
you know. And he went and he did the work, and he was doing work, and they was signing changing, blah, blah, blah. I'd say, okay, we like everything. And then they sent an email saying, oh no, we can't afford to do this carnival band anymore. Sorry, we closing down. Please accept our apologies. And that was the end of that. They just blank him
Mhm.
after that. He said, well, wait a minute,
Right.
I do all this work and I never get paid. So you say, okay, well, he kind of writes it off as experience or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, you see a carnival band launch with his stuff. So he took them
Of
to court.
course.
He took them to court, and he needed money. This is the whole reason. He needed people to supply money. So we were talking about forming a guild or union where we could raise money to help people who do these kind of things. But things happened. The pandemic came in the way. I think he ended up winning the case. I'm not too sure. But at the end of the day, it was a bit of a rough situation because everybody wants to be represented in a union, but nobody wants to actually provide money, to provide time, to provide, the things that require to run an organization like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just kind of there. We kind of like there. But the thing is, I would love a lot of these people to, because there is a graphic artist guild, but I don't really see them doing anything like the Photographers Guild. The Photographers Guild is very, very strong. And the Animation Union, the Animation Association, is also very
Mhm.
strong. But the graphic artists, people are like, yeah, well, did this one charge $100 to do social media graphics? Oh God, how you could charge that? I like, but you all not doing the thing properly. All you're letting these people do these things, getting there, putting themselves in front of people. Obviously, you're going to find yourself priced out of the market because
Right.
you know. But I mean, apart from that, I mean, coming back to being, you know, scary things that happen to you in the office. Apart from people pulling you into a meeting, is when you get accused of something by another, employee, whether it's right or
Mhm.
wrong, the politics inside of there, the backstabbing kind of thing. You want to know when it is your turn is next. You're not sure when somebody is going to go to the management and say, hey, this man, he was doing this, that, that, you did. And you get called in because somebody else, did something. And that's happened
Mhm.
before,
Mhm.
where you get accused of some sort of harassment. Now, me, I had this kind of
That's it.
attitude and whatever, which is probably not the best thing. But again,
Yeah.
it's taking
But
that
so
and
much of it
saying,
is politics too, because
yeah,
like on that particular instance where it was really the copywriter who should have been responsible, not me.
yeah,
That copywriter in particular was somebody who was very invested in moving up in the organization and was brown nosing to all of the right people so they didn't get in trouble and nothing happened to them. And I mean, I would have appreciated an apology from them, but it didn't get out either. They did look guilty. They looked
and I
super
wonder,
guilty.
I
But
wonder if this is still being done. We've been out of it for so long.
are you talking about there in particular, or just everywhere?
Well, there in particular, but overall, because you have you have a whole new crop of young people. Like, okay, for example, a guy messaged me on Facebook in the height of the pandemic, asking me if I could interview for a creative director job. And I said, sure, no problem. He's like, I have this whole studio set out and I have all this equipment and everything. I said, all right, cool. Well, it's kind of like pandemic. He's like, nah, pandemic is nothing. You could come in and work and whatever. I said, nah, I don't think I'm feeling confident with this thing. I say, after the pandemic is over, maybe we can talk. He said, nah, I can't wait for that. I need to do work now. I said, all right, well, what is the job? He's like, well, you'll be the creative director. I'm like, okay, so how many people in the team? What team? What team? The
Like,
team,
who are you directing
you
now?
know, I have people in the team. You know, I have a graphic artist. He's like, no, you are the graphic artist. I'm like, all right. So you're saying basically I'm a creative director of myself. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, obviously. I said, all right, well, let me play along. What else? What are the job responsibilities? Well, you have your own car, right? I'm like, what does this have to do with coming to the studio? He's like, no, 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 no. You need your own car because you have to go and get the clients.
What?
You have, you
What
have to
did
go.
you just
You have to do
invest in a bunch
sales.
of hardware and software and then decide he was going to stick somebody in there and call it an
Yeah, you go and
agency?
get these sales, right? Then you have to go and create content for the people business. So you have to go on video and then edit and do audio when you come back, right? And then you have to do assist. So you have any graphic design? Yes, yeah, of course you have to do the social media posts and all those kind of things. And I say and then
Really?
do I mop
And have you
do I mop
discovered
the
how to clone
floors?
human beings within a day?
Yeah, do I mop the floors after, you know? He's like, no, no, no. But you will be required to do extra things like help out with the accountant. I'm like, what the fuck?
What?
I'm like, but all of this is via messenger. Now I don't know this guy from Adam. I say, well, no thanks. He's like, but this is a great opportunity. I said, no, you can't pay me enough money. He said, all right, all right, all right. What do you think is a fair amount to do this job? I say, you serious? You really want me to tell you? He said, yeah, 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 just type out a figure. I put $150,000 a month.
I was going to say too, but yeah.
He laughed at me and he said, are you insane? I said, all right, what you think is a number? He said, well, I don't know what the going rate is. You're all the experts or whatever. Well, obviously, it's not going to be that. So you stop joking.
Okay, so you're the expert now, but when it came to like figuring out what your job description was, you was the expert.
So I said, so then he said, nah, I thinking to give you like a $5,000 on a commission.
What? Yeah.
I said, excuse me. And he said, the more sales you bring in, is the more money you make because you'll make a 10% on whatever they pay, the billing that they pay to do the work. I'm like, what the fuck? What the? I'm like, no thanks. He's like, all right, well, think about it now. I said, I thought about it, no thanks. He's like, well, could you recommend anybody? Check me. No. So you get vexed and he's saying why I don't want to recommend people. I have a network and all. I say I will not want
I
any
wouldn't
of my
disrespect anybody with it.
coming back and telling me, you know what shit you send me by or whatever, whatever. I know nobody desperate enough to take that job. But mind you, there are people who will, yeah. You know, I like, and this is during pandemic, huh? You say, you know what, the pandemic making things hard and everything hard. I say, dude, things gonna get even harder. So I must do all of this work. You know, I said, by the time I finish driving out my car for you, that is $5,000 done. He said, yeah, but the commission, that's where you make your money. I'm like, well, I might as well just go and bust tables. Because the tips from tables will be, you know.
All right, Ian. I'm sorry, I could stay longer. I'm going to go and have my dinner. Enjoy my lovely boyfriend.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in.
Around nice Chinese food.
Thanks for jumping in. I really appreciate it.
Giving me a space to share my trauma.
Yeah, no problem. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. We want to do more. I want to do more of this now that that Jared has left. I want to try to bring in more people and do more live kind of shows and stuff. But the thing is, I have to get the software. I can't use this Zoom anymore. This is driving me nuts. So what I might do is I might move to something like StreamYard or something, pony up the money and whatever. But we'll see. We'll see. Things have to pick up for me work-wise, and I'm hoping they do.
Make that investment.
Yeah. But enjoy your dinner. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome.
All right. It was good seeing you.
All right. You too.
All right. Take care.
All right. Let's read some comments here. I have 2 viewers. Avalon, 34 minutes ago. Is there anything that people traditionally pivot to in your field when things are slow? Um, that's a tough one. Why are you asking these hard questions, Avalon? Is there anything that people traditionally pivot to in your field when things are slow? Yeah, they traditionally pivot to doing painting, jewelry, some sort of other creative endeavor, I think. Natasha's a good example of that. She's pivoted to doing portraits. So, you should check out her work, Natasha Gill. Do most graphic designers have one job or do they have more than one because of the uncertainty field? Um, More than one, but you have to distinguish between freelance and permanent. If they're working for a permanent company, they have a contract and they can't just go on freelance to other people and those kind of things. So if you want to freelance to do, free work, you could do that. Well, do you guys send thank you cards to people who interview you? Fuck no. No, nah, nobody. But sometimes I kind of send an email and say thanks for the chance to interview. How long do you traditionally wait for a response? Well, I'm assuming that's a response from the question about, when you do a pitch. Well, if the deadline was 2 weeks from the time they send the pitch document, obviously I'm going to wait like a day or two. If after a day or two I don't see anything, I'm going to start panicking. But if it's something like a pitch for like 6 months down the line that we have to complete the job, I kind of like wait a couple of weeks and then send a note or whatever, hey, what's going on with this kind of thing. Most of the time, they never respond. So you kind of go, well, whatever. There was an annual report job that I pitched for, and they never responded. And then I saw they did the annual report. So I'm like, well, obviously they got somebody else to do it. They just don't tell people, you know? Um, do you have a catchy business card? Of course, I have a catchy business card. It's called the mobile phone. My Behance.net is where all my Behance.net put up inside of here. I'm writing a book, by the way. I forgot to tell you. I'm writing a book about what you call it. I'm writing a book I'm going to start using some AI work to kind of generate the imagery and write an essay. Little short stories based on the work. So yeah, this is my work. Y'all can see my work. All right. So that's my business card. I send everybody my LinkedIn. I send everybody to my Instagram. I send everybody to my Behance. All right. Last question. Oh, saw you looking like you entered the metaverse and looking to become mayor. Okay. I don't think she's bipolar, Rats. That's not how it works. People have mental problems. We discussed this in episode 5. So if you go to episode 5 and listen to it, we talk all about mental health and all those kind of things, and how to get help and all those kind of things. I don't want to go and rehash that. But yeah, I mean, having Natasha was a great thing. I'm not good at doing this by myself. I have to sort out the technology for this thing. I'm really going to move away from Zoom, and I'm going to go directly to StreamYard, and I'm going to invite people to join on to StreamYard and bring them on and put them on Facebook, because we're going to do more of these live kind of things. So thank you for listening when I was volume. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I did a live show on Facebook because it's very difficult for me to do. It's hard to put all these moving parts together. It's not easy for me. I'm technical, but it's been very difficult to get this thing working because I'm doing it by myself. There's nobody to test it with. I need to get somebody to test it with who will sit down with me like a day and do it. And, but Jared is gone, so we say goodbye to Jared. This has been a semi-Halloween episode. I don't know what guys are doing for Halloween. We're not supposed to celebrate Halloween on what you call it in this country. But the thing is that people will do it. We have a heavy American influence, so why not? Thank you very much for joining me today. This has been, but that's not important right now, a podcast on advertising, all by my lonesome, but with friends. I'm glad when friends come and they join up, and say, hey, what's up? This obviously is coming out on Monday. It's a Monday. Happy Halloween. Woohoo! I'm going to put some funky theme music on the beginning and after, so look out for that. It created some funky music. Y'all be safe. It's orange level alert. Well, right as the point of this recording. So I shall be seeing you. I am going to define Halloween. Let me see if I can define Halloween. Usually Jared does this. I don't know if I'm going to keep this Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. 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 Halloween Town. Halloween. It's Hallowed Eves. That's usually what it's called. Halloween or Halloween, otherwise known as All Hallows Evening, what we consider here as All Souls Night and All Souls Day, because you go and you clean up the graves and put the candles on the graves and so, or Saint's Eve, is a celebration observed in many countries on 31st of October, the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. It begins the observance of All Hallow Tide, the time of the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including the saints, fathers, martyrs, and departed. So I tried to make this kind of be about scary stories. Last year we did a very, very good episode on scary stories. So go and listen to that. That was season 3. Was it season 3 or season 2? I'll have to check. Just go and search. But that's not important. Right now, the podcast, go and look for Halloween special. We did a Halloween special. Thanks a lot for listening. Please be safe. We are on orange level. Rain all over the place. And yeah, that's about it. No one else has made any comments. Don't apologize. People need to learn how to ignore things they don't like on Facebook. Thank you, Rads. Thank you very much. All right. Goodbye. Sayonara. Good night and good luck. Or good luck and good night.